Hey, where are you?
I asked my husband, who replied with a surprising statement.
I'm on a trip with my folks.
What? It's our daughter's birthday. What are you, crazy?
Being a good son is more important, you know?
Ah, I see. In that case, let me do what I want as well.
I hung up the phone and got to work immediately.
Hey, what's this about?
He was frantic. It was his own doing. I wanted him to suffer. Paige, a 34-year-old social worker. I've been married to Cooper for 8 years now. We were originally co-workers in the same office. He was one of my bosses, and even served as my mentor, so we naturally grew close. We started seeing each other outside of work and got married after about a year. Our newlywed life was filled with love and happiness. It wasn't without its problems, though. The main issue was my in-laws. His parents wanted us to move in with them right after we got married, using their old age as an excuse. I adamantly refused, or rather despised, the idea with all my heart. I wanted to spend the first few years alone with Cooper, and there were other reasons as well. One of them was that I had an apartment of my own. My father is into real estate investment and owns several properties. When I got engaged, he gave me one of them as a wedding gift. It was built only 3 years ago, and it was fairly new, spacious, and very comfortable to live in. It was perfect for us as a couple, and there was plenty of space even if we had kids, so I had only thought about living there after marriage. I firmly expressed my opinion to Cooper. He was caught between his parents and me, but eventually he sided with me.
When starting married life, my wife comes first, obviously. I also want to enjoy being just the two of us, so they should respect our wishes.
I was happy when he was on board. From then on, my in-laws started making snide remarks to me whenever we met.
You just don't want to live with old people like us, do you?
You probably think we'd be a bother. What a heartless daughter-in-law you are.
They held me responsible.
Mom, Dad, don't blame me. Mom, Dad, don't blame her. The decision was mutual between us. Besides, let us enjoy our honeymoon period alone.
At first, Cooper stood up for me like that, but they didn't easily back down. They persistently complained and continued to talk badly about me. At some point, Cooper got tired of it too and stopped defending me. Even when they said hurtful things about me, he pretended not to hear. Every time I saw them, I felt nothing but unpleasant. Then I gave birth a year after we got married. It was a baby girl, and my in-laws again heavily blamed me for not having a male heir.
Why didn't you have a boy?
It's my eldest son's child, you know? If you had any common sense, you'd have a boy.
We all know that with natural fertilization, we can choose the gender. I was left speechless by their irrational remarks. I couldn't believe they were being so selfish, but Cooper, despite them saying such unreasonable things, didn't stand up for me. I was very much disappointed about it, and after returning home, I complained to him.
Hey, why didn't you stand up for me when your parents were being so unreasonable? You're the only one who can stop their rampage.
He looked dismayed hearing me say that.
Well, maybe you should have just agreed to live with them in the first place.
What?
Because you refused. They took offense. And that's why you're getting this treatment. It's your own doing.
Whoa, how can you say that to me? You were in agreement back then. And you even told them it was our mutual decision.
I never thought that'd be so persistent, you know? But it's undoubtedly your fault for continuously making them angry. Why don't you offer to live with them now?
No freaking way. Our daughter was just born.
Then stop complaining. Just accept whatever they say.
Jeez.
I was disappointed by his indifferent attitude. It cast doubt over our marriage for the first time. Well, I'd come to regret it in the end, but at that time Kiara had just been born, and it was difficult to contemplate divorce. From then on, I focused on taking care of Kiara. I had taken maternity leave, so I spent a lot of time with my daughter every day, but... I had taken maternity leave, so I spent a lot of time with my daughter every day bonding with her. Her smiles were genuinely adorable and heartwarming. I thought over and over that I would protect her for the rest of my life. I was just so smitten and in awe of her. Cooper also adored and doted on her.
You're so adorable. Don't grow up too fast.
He seemed to enjoy playing with her. During that time of bonding with our daughter, our relationship as a couple was not as strained. It felt like we were connecting through her. As she grew and started speaking, she became even cuter.
Mama Dada.
Oh, that's amazing. You can call us now.
We were so over-the-top happy that you could probably call us doting parents. Looking back, this might have been the happiest time. My in-laws had no interest in their granddaughter since she was a girl. So I used childcare as a reason to stay away from them. That way I avoided unnecessary stress. We went out to different places on weekends and created lots of fun memories. My phone was overloaded with images of Kiara. Just looking back at them filled my heart with love. As she grew, Cooper began to change little by little. The trigger was his job getting busier and he started coming home late. Right after we got married, he changed jobs and moved to a different company. After a few years, he was promoted to manager and suddenly became very busy. It was a positive development at first. We had Kiara and having a higher salary made life easier. It made saving for her future education much more manageable, and we didn't have to restrict her financially if she had things she wanted to do. However, the workload turned out to be more intense than we expected, and he always looked exhausted.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'll manage.
He came home looking drained and had no energy. Plus, he returned too late at night, so he couldn't see Kiara. It was quite tough for him. I wanted to support him as much as I could, so I took over all the household chores and childcare. I also paid attention to what he ate, making sure to include nutritious options.
Is Daddy coming home late again?
Seems like it. You wanna go ahead and eat?
Yeah.
Kiara was sad that her dad was coming home late. She was getting bummed out about the decreasing opportunities to have dinner together. He was working hard for our sake, so I couldn't blame him.
Daddy's working really hard to make sure you can do all the things you love, you know? The fact that we can eat this dinner right now is all thanks to him. So let's be super nice to Daddy, okay?
I'm going to write a card to Daddy.
She wrote short sentences on a piece of paper and folded it in half, which she expected him to read when he got home. In it she wrote, "Thank you for working hard, Daddy. I love you." I knew he would probably tear up when he read it. I wrapped up the dinner and placed it on the table with the card. Since he normally didn't return until around midnight, both Kiara and I went to bed before that. The next morning the card had been collected, and Cooper woke up looking happy.
Did you get the card?
Yeah, she's such a sweet kid. It lifted my spirits.
Well, glad to hear. Don't push yourself too hard, honey.
Yeah, I know.
He said that, but either due to his sense of responsibility or else he couldn't reduce his overtime and late nights continued. He looked tired every day, and even when I tried to talk to him, he seemed out of space. He was also working on weekends, which left him exhausted, and he'd spend Sundays sleeping. We couldn't go on family outings, but I also couldn't blame him. In the midst of this, something bad happened. He finally collapsed at work. I received a call from the hospital and rushed over.
Oh my god, honey.
Oh, I'm sorry to freak you out. I pushed myself too hard, it seems.
I mean, this much? Jeez. If something happened to you and you were gone, we couldn't bear it.
Sorry. But the company finally realized that they've put too much pressure on me. They've decided to eliminate overtime from now on. There were other people who got sick or experienced mental breakdowns because of the workload. They decided to make fundamental changes.
That's good news.
Daddy!
I'm sorry for making you worry.
Cooper lifted her up to his bed and held her in his arms. She looked happy as he affectionately stroked her back.
From now on, I'll work without overdoing it. That's a promise.
That's a promise.
He wasn't suffering from an illness, and it was simply due to exhaustion. After a few days of observation, including tests and treatment, he was said to be discharged. I felt relieved upon hearing that. Over the next few days, I took some time off to take care of him in the hospital.
Honey, you don't need to come here every day.
No way. I'm too worried. Here's a change of clothes. I'll put a pudding in the fridge, okay?
Oh, thanks.
When you're discharged, let's go out for some good food.
Yeah, sounds good.
We were enjoying our conversation when my in-laws arrived.
Cooper, are you okay?
We heard you collapsed from overwork.
Oh, Mom, Dad, I'm sorry for making you worry.
They immediately turned to glare at me.
You, Paige? How can you drive him to the point of collapsing from overwork?
Excuse me?
You forced him to work so hard and even made him do housework, didn't you? You're a terrible woman.
I was taken aback by their sudden accusations.
Hey, both of you, don't jump to conclusions. I collapsed because my company was giving me too many responsibilities. She was actually worried about me.
Even if that's the case, we don't want her around when we are here.
I had no choice but to obey.
Alright, I'm leaving then.
Good riddance.
I was extremely upset, but they were still his parents, and I had to step back. I didn't want to have a fight in the hospital anyway. I reduced my frequency of visiting since he'd be discharged soon, and his parents were visiting frequently. About a week later, he came back home.
Welcome back, Daddy.
Oh, I missed you, Kira.
Welcome home.
Thanks for everything, honey.
We were thrilled to have him back and celebrated the occasion by going out to a restaurant. It had been a while since the three of us had dinner together, and Kira was beaming with smiles. Afterward, Cooper was able to finish work on time and return home early. I was delighted that he could have dinner with me. She enthusiastically talked about her daily school experiences. Watching her face brighten up, I was filled with happiness. It was wonderful to spend time as a family at last. After a while, Cooper started to come home late again. Although not as late as before, but often around 10 p.m. He also had to work on weekends more often, which made me worry.
Hey honey, are you okay? Is your workload increasing again?
Oh, I'm fine. It's not as bad as before, and I'm not as tired as you might think.
Alright, if you say so.
The opportunities to have dinner together decreased again, which made me sad. Then, when her birthday arrived, a problem arose.
Will Daddy come home early today?
Of course you will. You guys made a promise this morning, right? So, let's prepare a feast and wait for him.
Okay.
I left work early to get ready. I bought a cake and made all of her favorite dishes, so everything was perfect. We eagerly awaited his return, but he didn't show up even after 8 p.m.
Is Daddy coming back soon?
Yeah, I'm sure he's already nearby.
I sent multiple messages, but they remained unread. I was getting worried. By the time I noticed, it was past 9 p.m. The food was getting cold. Kiara's face grew more and more gloomy. Unable to hold back my frustration, I called him incessantly. I was determined to get through to him. He finally answered after several tries.
At last, aren't you done with work yet? You know it's Kiara's birthday today, right?
Yeah, sorry.
I heard a lot of commotion in the background. It was definitely not his workplace. I could hear music and chattering.
Hey, where are you?
Obviously, I'm at work.
That's a lie. What's all that noise in the background? You're definitely not in the office.
I knew something was amiss, but I never expected to hear what he said next.
I'm on a trip with my folks right now.
What?
We had planned this a while ago.
Hold on. How come you're telling me this now? It's our daughter's birthday, you know? You're supposed to be celebrating with her tonight. You were supposed to be celebrating with her tonight. You made a promise, right?
But being a good son is more important, you know?
What the...
Anyway, it's all your fault. I'm stuck in the middle, because you can't get along with my parents, and I have to choose between you.
Oh, I see. In that case, I'll do what I want to.
His outburst shattered something within me. I hung up the phone and got to work immediately. Then something I never expected came to light. Fueled by anger, I decided to bring Judgment Day upon him.
Hey, sweetie, it looks like Daddy can come home soon. We'll have a birthday party with just the two of us, okay?
I started reheating the food. She was almost in tears, but she must have sensed something from me. Instead of crying, she quietly went along with me. After that, I called my father. He introduced me to his trusted real estate agent, and we quickly put the apartment on the market. Kirat and I moved our belongings to another property owned by my father, and Cooper's stuff was sent to his parents. By acting swiftly, I managed to complete the move in no time. A few days later, Cooper called me frantically.
What's up, Cooper?
Hey, what happened here?
He sounded freaked out.
Why isn't my key working?
Because that apartment's on sale now.
On sale? What the heck are you doing?
Well, you missed Kira's birthday.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But is that enough reason to take such drastic action?
You're right. I'm not doing it just because of that. What's really pissing me off is that you told so many lies. You lied about taking a trip with your parents, right?
What are you talking about? I did go with them.
You know, I called your mom after I spoke to you. I wanted to give her a piece of my mind. But she said she hadn't left anywhere and was still at home. At first, I thought she was lying. But when I explained the situation, she came over. That's when I found out you used them to make up a lie. So, who did you go on the trip with?
Well, I'm sorry. I was cheating.
I knew it. You chose the trip with your mistress over your own daughter's birthday.
It was planned a while ago. I didn't realize that it clashed with her birthday until recently. I didn't know what to do.
You're the worst father. You think it's obvious which one should take priority, right? Anyway, we're getting a divorce.
No.
Of course, yes.
Does that mean I won't be able to see Kira anymore?
That's up to you. Reflect on the fact that what you did was terrible, and let's handle the rest through lawyers.
I hung up on him. Afterward, he went back to his parents' house, where he received a severe scolding from them, and was subsequently kicked out. I then filed a divorce through a lawyer and requested alimony and child support. I managed to claim $60,000 just for alimony. As it turns out, his mistress was a nurse at the hospital where he stayed. They had continued their affair after he was discharged. I submitted a bad review, advising people to be aware that there was a husband-snatching nurse working there. It attracted a lot of attention, and the hospital HR eventually contacted me to investigate. Subsequently, she was let go. She and Cooper broke up, and he now lives a solitary and financially strained life, working hard to pay off the alimony and child support. After all, it's all his own doing. Let him suffer for all I care. On the other hand, I decided to move in with my parents until Kiara was a little older. I'm working diligently so that even as a single-parent household, we won't be pitied by others. I'm gonna cherish my daughter and lead a fulfilling life from now on.